All right, Honors 10, today we're dealing with the last portion of our usage unit, which are two major pronoun problems, incomplete construction and the who versus whom debate, which is always something students have a question on. Let's start with the easy one, incomplete construction. The red flag for you in incomplete construction is a comparison that's made between using the words than or as. And the problem comes in when we don't use the right pronoun in the comparison. And the rule here is that we have to use the pronoun when we compare two things that we would use if we completed the sentence. So a lot of people mistakenly say, for example, that she is smarter than me. But if I finish that sentence, it's an incompletely constructed sentence. If I finish the sentence, I would really want to say, she is smarter than I am. So if I finish the sentence, I use the pronoun I. If I don't finish the sentence, a lot of us choose the wrong pronoun. So we want to pretend that we finished the sentence and use the pronoun that we would if the sentence would have been finished. Let's take a look at a few examples.
Complete construction, you have to remember to finish the sentence. So I would say Mr. Bilot is taller than I or me. Finish the sentence, add a verb. I am. I didn't do as well on the test as she did. You study more often than I do. Jane is as old as she is. So if you finish the sentence, your ear will tell you exactly which pronoun to use. The key is to notice the words than or as that begin those comparisons, and then you'll know to finish the sentence. Now,
all right, the biggest pronoun problem out there is when we use who and when we use whom. Now, if you think about yesterday's lesson about nominative versus objective case pronouns, it really boils down to the fact that who is nominative and whom is objective. So when the pronoun is working as just a regular pronoun, maybe beginning a question, if the pronoun is the subject or following a linking verb, you're going to use who. But if it's working as an object, a direct or indirect object, or the object of a preposition, you're going to use whom. Now, that's a little hard to understand. So one of the easiest cheats or tricks to use here is to take that question and try to make it a statement, and then plug in either he or him. Since he is nominative, if he works, then who is the correct answer. If him works, then whom is the right answer, because him and whom are both objective. And it's easy to remember because him and whom both end in N. Now, the who versus whom question becomes a lot more complicated when it begins a clause. When who or whom is a pronoun that's acting as a relative pronoun that's creating a subordinate clause. Then we have to look at the clause in isolation, just at the clause, and look at how the pronoun functions in the clause. Is the pronoun the subject of the clause? If it is, then you're done. You know as a subject you need the nominative case, so you always choose who. If it's not the subject of a clause, if there's another word within the clause that's working as the subject, you have one more question to ask yourself. What kind of a verb is there? If it's a linking verb, then that pronoun is still working as a predicate nominative, so you still would choose who. But if you have an existing subject other than who or whom, and you have an action verb, it doesn't matter how the pronoun's functioning. It's an object of some sort, probably a direct object. But regardless, you're going to choose whom. The only place in a clause that you're going to use who is if it's the subject or if the clause has a linking verb. For any other case, you're going to use whom. Let's take a look at some examples of this.
for who versus whom, I have to first decide if it's creating a clause or not. For this sentence, I do have a pronoun working as a relative pronoun, so I just look at the clause that it begins. In this clause, who versus whom is the subject. Got is the verb. So if the pronoun is working as the subject, then I need the nominative case pronoun, which is who. For the second example, I again have a clause, who or whom I knew from school. Ignore this part of the sentence and look at the clause. I already have a subject. So the only other case where I would use a nominative case pronoun is if it's working as a predicate nominative. Predicate nominatives only follow linking verbs. Knew is an action verb. So I cannot choose who here. It's not the subject. It's not a predicate nominative. It doesn't matter what it is. It's objective. Okay. For number 3, who or whom I saw is my clause. I is my subject, so that rules out who for that reason, but I might still use it if it's a predicate nominative. Saw is an action verb, so I do not need a nominative case pronoun here. I need an objective case pronoun like whom. In the third example, I'm looking at by who or whomever. I should see this preposition, by, which means that the pronoun is acting as the object of a preposition, which means, again, I need the objective case pronoun whomever. In the next example, the pronoun who or whom is not beginning a clause. It's just asking a question. It's working as a regular pronoun. So if you rephrase it to say, I should give my assignment to, would you say he or him? I should give my assignment to him. If him works, then so does whom. In the last example, I again have a clause, who or whom she is. So you ignore this part of the question. She is the subject of the sentence, but look at what kind of verb I have. I have a linking verb, which means that the pronoun is working as a predicate nominative. So I need to use the nominative case pronoun who.